What if you could copy an entire make.com automation, paste it into Claude 3.7, and boom, it gives you a working n8n workflow back. Today I'm testing exactly that. I'm running two real-world scenarios, a simple one and a more advanced AI block generator. We'll see what Claude gets right, what breaks, and whether this is a legit shortcut or just AI hype. And by the way, if you want to steal my exact blueprints, you'll find them linked in the description below. So let's get right into it. In this first part, we have something simple. We have a form that gets submitted through Typeform, a confirmation is sent to the user, and then it is logged into a Google Sheet. So it's a classic three-step flow. And if we go into Make, this is what we have. So we have the webhook right here. We have the Google Sheet, add a row right here, and we have an email, so we can send an email to the user based on the email provided through the webhook. If we look at the form, this is what it looks like. So pretty simple type of form. So we have the first name, last name, phone number, email, and company. So pretty straightforward type of form as well. So let's fill this out and we'll see how this works first before trying to convert this into an n8n. If I go here to my form, I'm just going to put in some information. So let's say John Smith, let's put in a phone number, the email, so let's put in my emails, and let's put in a company. I hit submit. Okay, Typeform doesn't like that phone number, so let's see if it likes this one. Okay, great. So we get that right there. Over here in make.com, what I forgot to do is actually turn on this. So I'm gonna have to submit it once more. So let's do that quickly again. John Smith, bum 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 bum, and okay, sweet. Email, and let's put in John Smith company. Hit submit. Phone number isn't happy once more. Da 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 da. I really need to start understanding what an American number looks like. Okay, cool. That's great. So here, this ran, we got the data from Typeform. We got no errors in Google Sheets, and we should have gotten an email as well. So if I look at my Google Sheet, I got the information here, John Smith, I got the email, got the phone number, got the company. If I look at my email inbox, I also got a confirmation saying, hey, John, got your email, we'll be in touch soon, Kevin. So this is working as expected, because if I go back to Make, I have that email right there with the email being the one the user would have submitted and the information right there. So that's working pretty well in make.com. So now the test is, what if we take this and we paste it into an n8n? And before we do, we come up with a prompt in ChatGPT or in Claude in this case, and we say we have this blueprint, want to convert it into an n8n, from make into an n8n. Please give us the blueprint so we can paste it directly into an n8n. And the question is, would that work? So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to go to Claude. And over here, I already have a prompt I want to use. And the prompt is as follows. So the prompt is, you are an expert in workflow automation. I have a make.com scenario with the following structure. A webhook receives data from data from Typeform, which is the name, email, and a few other fields. The data is passed to a Google, let me just update this a bit, Google Sheet spreadsheet as a new row, or is added to a Google Sheet spreadsheet as a new row. The data is also logged in. The data is a confirmation email is sent to the user saying we'll be in touch soon. Okay, that's the new updated flow. Can you convert this make scenario into an n8n compatible workflows? Please give me a step-by-step explanation of the flow in n8n terms, the JSON or visual structure for how I would build this in n8n, any modules I should look for or install. And what I also want is the JSON is more the JSON I can paste into n8n to run this. Let's put that first. This is the most important. A step-by-step explanation. Any modules I should look for or install. I mean, yeah, let's leave that as is. What I'm going to do is also paste in the code from make.com. So I'm going to say, go back here, copy this, and say this is the JSON for make.com. And just going to paste that in right here. So we have the information from make. And let's see what Claude comes up with. So I'll convert your make scenario into compatible workflow. Looking at your make.com JSON, it contains three main steps: a typeform webhook, Google Sheets integration, and a confirmation email. Great. Let me create the equivalent n8n workflow. So this is going through and creating this relatively simple three-step type of automation. Over here, this says we have the n8n JSON. Okay. We have the step-by-step explanation. So we have the webhook node, creates an endpoint that listens for incoming data. Okay, great. Google Sheets and send an email node. Required, the core nodes, integration, credentials. Okay, implementation, we have the webhook, Google Sheets, email config, and data mapping. Okay, great. So let's just take this, copy the contents, and go to an empty scenario in n8n. I'm just going to paste that in straight through. Over here, first of all, I have an append, which makes sense. I have a webhook, which makes sense. And I have a send an email. So here, looks good. So let me just create a new credential. What I would like though is to use the Gmail node in n8n. So let's go back to Claude. Instead of the email node, let's use the Gmail node in n8n because I already have this configured. And let's see whether it's able to make this change. Okay, so that's going through, making the change over there. And let's see whether this will work. So this made some changes to the Gmail account section. Okay, copy. Let's go back here. Let's delete everything. And let's paste that in. Okay, so now we have Gmail over there. For Google Sheets, let's just type in this as well. I'm not sure if this would have been passed over. So this is 1UFS. Okay, so yes, this is the same thing right here. And Google Sheets account, sheet within document. Okay, append row by the, okay, Gmail, let's see here, 2. So now this didn't get the actual 2. And for some reason, this didn't get the actual message. Whereas what we had before, that was already part of it already. So if I look at what I had earlier, which is this right here, I believe this already had the details here. So I had the to email and I had the hey kind of text body right here. So let's just copy these and let's paste them into our Gmail node. So message, paste that in, and that is now an expression. Okay, great. I think we're ready to test this. So what I'm going to do is change the n8n or grab the n8n webhook here and go back to typeform. I'm going to go to connect. I'm going to go to webhooks. I'm going to edit the webhook and paste in my n8n webhook right here. So the data will be sent from typeform to n8n rather than to make. So if I go to edit, first of all, let's just test this webhook to see this is working. So hit test. And if I go back to typeform, I can view deliveries and I can send a test request. And let's see. Okay, so we got the test information into n8n. So now I can connect this. Let's go back here. Let's go over here. And I think this was the one that I filled in. Yes, perfect. So let's redeliver this and we see whether we get it into n8n. So I'm going to redeliver and let's see what we get here. So this is trying to create or append the new information. And then we have an error right here. So here we have append row and here it's saying sheet with ID sheet 1 is not found, which is interesting because this is literally called sheet 1. So let's see what we have here. So this is connected, Google Sheets account, sheet within document, okay, append row, great. The document should be that, and the sheet should be called sheet 1. So let's just select from the list, select sheet 1, map each column below. Now that might be the problem, I guess, sheet with ID. Fields to send. Yeah, for some reason this didn't map correctly. So I'll need to say first name and pass along the information from my form. So I have John Smith. Okay, so let's pass this field ID or name. So no, this should be add item. So field ID should be first name and the field value should be that. So essentially I'm having to remap everything right here. So I'm going to choose the last name, which is Smith. So I'm going to drag and drop that. I'm going to add another field right here, which is the email, which we can get from here. Add another field, which is phone number. So choose that. And I'm going to finally add the company information. So that is the company writer. Now, I'm not sure if this is, I mean, we still had to map these eventually, but this is still saying sheet with ID not found. So let me just pin this and let's try to run this once more and see if we get the same error. Okay, so no, we didn't. So that was the main issue. So over here, we now got additional row. For some reason, I didn't map the phone number correctly. So I think that's on me. Yeah, so I just inserted the actual phone number as a field rather than the actual data that the user would have inputted. So here, I just need to update this like so. And now we get the actual phone number. So this step worked. Now, let's see if the send email actually works. So this is running, and this is saying cannot read properties of undefined reading split item 0. So let's go back over here and let's try and figure out this. So this is not able to understand what we're referencing because obviously, yeah, I mean, this would be not JSON.form response because we would need to reference the information coming from the webhook. So this, instead of JSON.form response, needs to be webhook dot item dot JSON dot form response answers. Isn't that right? Form response dot answers 0. So this is the email number answers 4. However, answers 4 is the actual company. So this should be answers 3. Dot answers dot email. Okay, so yeah, that should be that. And over here, this should be again webhook dot item dot JSON dot form response dot answers 0 dot text. But for some reason, that's not looking right. So let's drag and drop, and we'll see why that is. So where are we? Looking for answers. And that would be this right here. So here we have webhook.items.json.body. Okay, so I have a .body missing. .form response .answers. Okay, .text. So if I were to run this from start to finish, I should get everything working correctly now. So I get the new added rows. I get the email sent into my inbox. So this is working. However, at this stage, my question would be, is this even worth it? So it's a 3 simple node or module type of automation, is it actually worth it to go copy that, go to Claude 3.7, create a prompt, paste in the new prompt, and spend time trying to debug it rather than just outright rebuild it in n8n? And again, this is for a very simple type of workflow where it's just 3 nodes and the data passing through is very simple. So that would be my first question. But before we deliver judgment, let's try something else. So over here, I have another workflow. This time it's a bit more complex, but the data is moving through in a pretty straightforward fashion. So I have a setter right here in my make.com scenario, which sets the keyword. So in this case, I'm just saying the keyword is doc training. And then based on this, I have a generate outline. So this takes the keyword and I have a very simple prompt, which once this loads, the prompt states, create an outline for an article about, and in this case, it would be doc training. So very simple prompt. Next, I have the write article, which is pretty similar to the generate outline, but it just says write an article about the generated outline rather than create an outline for the keyword. So if I zoom out here, I have write an article about keyword based on this outline, and that is the one generated in the previous node. And finally, I have a generate image. So this takes the keyword and generates an image based on that specific keyword. Finally, I save everything to Airtable. So in Airtable, I have a table called make to n8n YouTube video, which has keyword, outline, article, and image as the columns, as the fields. And this is just mapping that into the Airtable. So have keyword, outline, article, and the actual image. So if I were to test this and we see it in action, this is creating the information that will then be saved into Airtable. So in a second, once this finishes, we should see the information populate over here in Airtable. And what I'm going to do once this finishes is try and attempt the same process. So I'm going to grab the make.com blueprint for these specific 5 modules, go to Claude, give it a prompt and saying what this specific scenario does, give it the actual JSON code, and see if it can map that or create the actual code for n8n. So in Airtable here, if I refresh, I should get that right there, along with the featured image included. Now, if I go here, copy this, oops, so copy, let's go to Claude, let's start a new chat. I'm going to paste in the code right there. So I have the code from make.com, and I also have a prompt already configured. So the prompt is as follows. So you are an expert in both make and n8n. Let me see, this is still recording. Great. I have an AI content automation scenario in Make that I want to convert to n8n. Here's what it does. Number 1, it starts with a manual trigger or webhook that provides a simple input, a blog topic or a keyword. It uses OpenAI to generate a blog post, a blog outline based on the keyword. It takes that outline and uses GPT to generate a full blog post, circa 800 to 1000 words. It sends a prompt to DALL-E for an image or an image generation API. So let's leave this, make it less ambiguous. So it sends a prompt to DALL-E to create a blog header image, stores the keyword, outline, post content, and image URL in Airtable. And here I was also trying to upload this to WordPress, or I was going to add that as well, but I decided against it. So let's just remove all this stuff. So here what I want is give me a ready to use n8n workflow JSON I can import. So that's all I want. So let's see whether this works this time. Again, it's a very straightforward type of scenario, in my opinion. So this is creating the code for n8n. So let's give this a second. And again, the question is it worth doing this conversion, or is it worth just rebuilding stuff in n8n? Or make.com if you are doing it the other way around. And so far, I found that it's always been worth it to just rebuild, because I know what is happening, and the time spent debugging and trying to fix what's been broken in the conversion process generally is more than just rebuilding or just outright rebuilding. So Copy this, go back to n8n. I'm going to paste the code in. And here we get, okay, manual trigger or a webhook that goes into a merge. But then this is not connected to the whole flow. We get these empty looking nodes. Okay, so this is, I would say, an outright failure because, okay, let's try and help it out a bit. Let's go to OpenAI and let's just say we have the messenger model, right? And let's just choose the model we want, GPT-4o. And let's just say this is the prompt. So what I'm going to do is copy this and give the information to Claude. And I'm going to say, this isn't looking right. Here's the information about the OpenAI node. Also, the trigger should be a manual one only that then uses the edit node to set the keyword. Let's see if it manages to update this whole flow. Okay, I'll correct the workflow with the right structure. Let's see. One thing you might want to try doing is give it examples of workflows you've built in n8n that you know actually work. So maybe that could also help. However, what I'm trying to do here is just establish whether a direct conversion is even possible. And so far, I think this is failing miserably. So copy this, go back here. Let's make some space and let's paste this in. So now we have set keyword manual, okay? We have, then this is connected. So first we have generate article, we have write article, we have generate image, and we have Airtable. So now our table is blank, OpenAI is blank. Yeah, and for this, for the like testing purposes, let's just see if we connect this like so, whether what it gave us in the first and second instance minus the actual image generator would actually work. So let's just, this is disabled, okay, let's disable this and let's disable that. And if I go here, let's see what we have. So here we have create an outline for an article about JSON.keyword. Okay, let's see. Here we don't have any actual keyword, so we still need to map this correctly. So it's not even adding a random keyword here. So we would need to go here, we need to type in keyword, we would need to type in the actual keyword. And then this is also saying we have an error in our table here. So let's unlink that. Try test again. And for some reason we have an unrecognized node. Yeah, I mean, that does make sense that I'm getting this unrecognized node error because for some reason the output from Claude gave us this unknown modules or these unknown modules. So let me delete these. Try again. And we get the same error. Okay, so I think it's referring to these. Test. Okay, so we set the keyword of training. So we'll go back here. We need to change this to expression because this will need to reference the previous node. And let's test this step. Connect a trigger to run this node. Okay. So even that, I believe here I asked Claude to start with a the trigger should be a manual one that then uses the edit node. Yeah. So I asked it for a manual trigger manually, but it didn't provide that. So we would need to copy this here, connect it like so, and then hit test workflow. So let's try and test this. And let's see if this will work. Create an outline for an article about, yeah. So I think when you provided the actual code for a working node, for example, it is then able to do most of the stuff for you. So here it was able to generate an outline, and here it was able to, okay, it didn't generate the article because the placeholder JSON.keyword weren't replaced. So here it still went with the fixed prompt rather than expression. And yeah, and then again, this results in an error because this is not JSON.keyword, but it would be JSON.message.content. So my whole point, I think, is that I'm not going to anytime soon switch to this type of conversion if I want to go from Make to n8n. I think it will get better. There will be specific tools that cater to this, but at the moment, I don't think it's something that is worth your time in terms of spending the time to try and convert this in this way. I would, number one, find it much faster to build stuff myself when I already know the flow that I need to follow. And number two, I think it's also great practice to get in the reps and get in the time in either tool to build the things the way you want them in the first place. So that's kind of my key takeaway point based on this tool, based on these two types of situations that we tried. If you want to grab the exact Claude prompts, the workflows from both make.com and n8n and a few other things in the link below or in the description below, there is a link that you can hit, and you also get access to the previous videos blueprints as well. So I would encourage you to check that out. And if you're into automations, AI workflows, and building smarter systems, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future videos, because I've got more builds coming just like this in the next few days and the next few days. So I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you on the next video.